Hello, everybody out there in the internet. Welcome to Aimless Babble Z, episode 390. I'm Chris Adams, Tech and Master, joined by.
RPG Maniac 05.
And Trioptical.
So we've got so much been playing a middle segment about distrust or something thingies.
So dark.
It does sound dark.
Well, you kind of set it up dark, you know. You're like,
Did I set it up dark?
don't trust experts. Let us discuss this and go into it in depth. And then, I guess I just made it. I don't know. It's the darkest timeline. Everything is dark. Whatever.
It is the darkest timeline. It's not wrong about that.
And then, oh. Man, there's so much I could say about that, because it's like, you know, it's another day in the darkest timeline, stuff went down, but, you know, continue on, we got the news. So yeah, let's just skip ahead to what have we been playing, or, you know, keep on going on. Let's do that. I didn't play any Radiant Historia, so, you know, can't talk about that. That being said, there was some juicy deliciousness Kickstarter update on Unsung Story, and looks like it might be happening. It might actually be not be off its schedule, because they said they're going to do some stuff with like the grid placement, blah blah blah, but it didn't seem like it impacted the development time. So I'm hopeful that even if it does get delayed, it's going to be early next year, and if it doesn't, it's hopefully this year before Darkest Timeline stuff happens, and you know.
The only game longer development than Kingdom Hearts 3. Sad.
Besides that, though, Monster Hunter World, which I am currently playing while we podcast, I finally got all my well, I didn't get all the armors, but basically I got the beta sets of all the armors I had set bonuses, and I've upgraded them all. I haven't augmented them all up to like even have even more defense power, blah blah. But I've got them all boosted up. I mean, not all of them. It's just like the purples and up, the blues and lower. Not so much. That'll have to wait, because it's like, dude, I'm out of money now because I did that, and I was like, wow, there went all my 2 million zinni down the tubes. But it's cool because I got my Devil Joe sword, so I got that. I got the Devil Joe armor, the beta armor anyway. So yeah,
So you can turtle now?
What?
Can you turtle now?
I don't have a lance trap cool. I have a longsword. That's not how that works.
Oh. Wait, oh yeah, that's right. Longsword can't block.
They cannot. Only you're thinking of the great sword.
Only the other sword. Yes.
Let's see. Oh, there was that event with the giant cuckoo, and you get the cuckoo head. That was funny.
It is gigantic.
It
I
is.
fought it for the first time just now. I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Like, it's huge. That's what she said. But yes, it was unusually large. But what's the skill on it anyway?
It's something about carrying an egg faster, so it's kind of useless.
Worthless.
Egg faster. Oh yeah, it's the pro transporter one.
Yeah, that one.
Worthless. So basically, you only use it for like cosmetic reasons because
Yeah, you look like a weird NCAA mascot. It's very interesting when you put it on. But, you know, when sunglasses that prevent stun come back, I will totally try to get those, because that seems very helpful.
So the other quest was the one where it's the Great Gyros, the Rabba Dabba Dabba Ding Dong, Bezelgaloops, and Steve Kruger. So all the Rotten Vale monsters. And then the 2 Great Jagresses.
I mean, that's online, because I was like, you know what, I could mix and match on my own, but it's faster to just look online. So I looked online for some sweet mix sets on the live stream, so it's on my channel somewhere on the internet. We're gonna check it out.
Batman!
I think it's been like, I did like 30 days last month, Batman stuff, because I was like a whole like subscriber blah 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 thing, or something I can't remember, but yeah. I can't remember. It's a thing I did.
Viewer poll.
Yeah, I was celebrating something or other. And I was like, yay, you guys, you got me 1,000 subscribers or something. Let me celebrate by streaming this game I like to play and you guys like to watch, and that's what happened. Besides that, I think that was pretty much it. Yeah, I did see Ready Player One, but it's a movie. But I would say I will give it a personal recommendation from me to you, as a person who is very into the video games and stuff. I very much enjoyed it, and their whole take on the whole concept of, if you're in a virtual world doing stuff and how it goes down. And yeah. And Tekken's, yeah, there's a whole part where, Tekken's, don't forget Tekken's #1 rule, or what's Tekken's rule #1. It was totally in there, and I was like, yep, because that's why you always follow that rule, and that's why it's a thing.
What is your rule?
You don't remember?
Stranger danger?
No. Neither of you remember my #1 rule?
Well, we assumed it was Stranger Danger and living in bubbles.
We're trying to figure out which one it is.
Because you have a lot of
I've
rules.
said it on the podcast a couple times, I'm pretty sure. So
Do you like video games?
I'm not going to say it until next week, because Tropical will see it by then, and then he'll know. So, yeah. Then you'll know. Yeah.
Cool.
But yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it, and it made me think of Raid Nights and Destiny and all the fun we've had and all the ridiculousness. And there's even a whole line that they say that we had a whole joke about for a long time about the whole that Al is a jerk. He's always like, oh, how many looks does it take to get to the certain involved? And there's a whole line. There's a whole line about it. I was like, oh, it's in the movie. It's from the 80s. I didn't know. I was like, oh, that's amazing. And they're just like, yeah, it made me smile. I was smiling, so I smiled a lot in that movie. There's a lot of parts I was like, oh, it touched my heart, and I just, yeah, I'm just saying. If you're in the darkest timeline, you need some happiness. That'll juice you up right there.
In the darkest timeline.
Or you're like, gamers don't get a fair shake, and that this movie is kind of a fair shake. So check it out. But yeah, that's all I've been playing and watching.
I'm trying to remember if I played any Monster Hunter this week. I don't think so. So once again, falling behind. Yeah, I just been I'm doing this indie game event in 2 weeks.
Are you excited?
Well, it's a fun event. It's this convention called the Midwest Gaming Classic. And no. Yeah, I learned that classics usually refer to some sort of competitive event. So
they do.
There's a lot of pinball contests and stuff there, but I only recently discovered what pinball actually is.
Oh,
as far as well, no, I knew what pinball was, but not sort of the depth of how much, how gamey pinball really is.
I was about to say, what is wrong with you? I mean,
so suffice it to say, I would not compete in pinball. I'm very bad. But yeah, so I've been doing that mostly because even though I'm not showing a game, it occurred to me that I was like, well, all these people who are showing games might care if I,
if you
seem
care about
organized and stuff, and tell them what they're supposed to do and things like that. So
how does this work? Since it's not a competition thing, so it's is it set up like a con? Then,
yeah.
or?
So I have always thought of the Midwest Gaming Classic as part free arcade and part largest video game garage sale you've ever seen. Yeah, the vendor area is just insane and filled with old cartridge games and just tons and tons and tons of retro stuff. And there's a whole section that just sells parts for pinball machines so people can repair or maybe build their pinball machines or whatever. And it's it's
just
crazy.
like that creepy place in California that had all that retro stuff that I told you guys about all that time ago. Just like that place.
Do they have pinball
It's pretty
stuff in that
cool.
one?
They did. They had stuff from consoles I haven't even heard of before, which I'm assuming had to exist. So,
and then so then there's another part. We fall into what they call community halls, which are mostly people's podcasts, and they go and they record a live one there or something. I don't know. It's community meetup. And then our group, which is a bunch of indie developers that I know and found while scouring Kickstarter and stuff like that, who want to show off whatever new game they're making. So yeah, my part feels like what you would think of for video game conventions. I hope it's good. I don't know what's going to happen. This is the first year that they've done it at a convention center. In years past, we've been crammed into a series of hotel rooms in a particular hallway.
That sounds like the start of a horror movie.
In the daytime. And then people
yeah,
would,
there are horror movies that take place in the daytime. Get your knowledge up, bruh. Get your knowledge up.
And come find us. But now we're in a giant room, and I'm like, oh man. We will see.
That is
see how
like
it goes.
how horror movies start. So you should be safe. You should be safe. In theory.
In theory.
Because I mean, it's not.
So yeah, every time I think about playing Monster Hunter, it's like, it is fun, but it's also like, I'm going to try to get something, and that is sort of workish to me. And then it was like, oh, it's going to take time, and then I should probably be doing this other thing. So, anyways.
Preparing for your not competition.
Yes, my not competition. But I have been playing some VR stuff, because I got new curtains in my VR, in the room that I have the VR stuff in, that block light better. So I can play in the daytime now. And I was like, cool, I'm going to try this. So I first tried Arizona Sunshine, which is a first-person shooter that supports the aim controller.
That is a very misleading name. Very misleading name.
Arizona Sunshine. I guess it takes place in Arizona, and that's why it's called that.
Yeah, but I would have thought it was a racing game or something with that kind of name. Misleading.
Yeah, I guess that's true. Well, so speaking of misleading, when I first saw the trailer for Arizona Sunshine, I was not really interested. I mean, as much as I could not be, being who I am.
I just wanted to say.
But it was like, it was very grating. Like the character that you play as just kept talking and making wisecracks and all this, and I was like, this is really, really, really annoying. I don't know, but like Gamer was super pumped for the game to come out. I was like, So I did get it, but I didn't play it until this week. And playing through it, it's like, oh, it's actually a lot more atmospheric than that trailer would led me to believe. There's a lot of quiet times when you're just sort of rummaging through drawers and cabinets trying to get ammo and stuff like that. It sort of reminds me of, I guess, like Left 4 Dead, except single player and not as random. And they're so far, or not random, like not as dynamic. Like I'm pretty sure the same thing happens every time you play it. And also, as far as I know, there doesn't appear to be any special zombies either. Though I'm pretty early in the game. Maybe they'll show up, and then it'll be super scary. But yeah, so far it's like, okay, this is a lot better than I thought it would be. And it seems like you can... There's like lots of different control schemes. You can also play with 2 move controllers. And like the aim controller style lets you play with, it says like 2-handed guns, and you don't get to play with 2-handed guns in the other one, I guess. So I was like, huh, okay, cool. Yeah, I guess that's all there is to say about that. I will see how I feel about it at the end. It'll be a while. It was funny. It's not super tightly refined as far as games go, and so some things feel kind of wonky. Grenade throwing, I thought, was sort of weird. At one point, I tried to throw a grenade at a bunch of zombies, but it hit something that was in front of me that I didn't think it would hit, and it hit it, and I looked around, and the grenade had just fallen at my feet. I was like, oh, that's bad.
Did you die?
I did not die because I didn't change any of the settings, so it's all on default settings, which are, I think, aimed at comfort. So I have teleport movement, so I was able to get out of there really fast. And somehow, like, I turned around. It took forever to turn back around. It did get all the zombies I was trying to bomb, because they were coming towards me, and that's why I threw the grenade. I turned around, I was like, oh, they're all dead. Awesome. Such a convenient fluke. Yeah, it's another thing, and I'm not sure if I'm actually doing it, but it feels like I'm doing it. I think there are jump scares where you'll see a body and then it'll get up when you get near it, but I haven't been allowing the game to do that. I've been shooting them all, and then some of their, like, sometimes they don't have any hit detection, so I think those are just props that are just there, and then some of them do, and their heads explode, and I think those were going to be jump scares, but I've disarmed them before I could get close. Although one time it did make me jump because I shot it, and the physics messed up, and the zombie jumped into the air before it landed on the ground. I was like, oh, that was pretty freaky. What else is there? Oh, there's also a collectible, or I think they're collectibles in the game, but I don't know how to collect them. They're these masks, these freaky looking masks that are everywhere. I was like, when you see them, when you've played a lot of games and you see these things, you think, well, that's something, but I don't know what to do with them. I pick them up and I try to put them on. It's like, okay, the mask I can't put it on. I can't put it in my pockets or anything, so it doesn't seem like I'm collecting them. Do I shoot them? And I shoot them and nothing happens. I don't know what this is, but they look like a thing that should be something in the game. I just have no idea what they are,
or how to collect them. Apparently,
yeah. If that's what they are, I have no idea. So yeah, that was pretty cool. And then so the curtains helped a lot in that game. I don't know what it is about the aim controller. Sometimes with my previous setup, it's very bright in here from outside sunlight. So when you look at what the camera can see, it's just really bright behind me, which sometimes messes things up and sometimes doesn't. So it's very strange. But now with the light blocking curtains, it doesn't have any of that. It's like, oh, cool. But yeah, then I moved on to Wipeout Omega Collection because I wanted to see the VR mode. And it turned out that I had never played Wipeout Omega Collection.
It
was not installed or anything. And I was like, oh, cool.
Of course not. Good job, Tactical.
And I thought it would be like a VR mode, but it's actually not. It's actually, I think it's the whole game in VR. So if you have the VR headset turned on, then it just becomes like a VR game. And I am assuming that the first few levels of 2048 are really easy.
Yes,
because
progressively harder.
Okay, because I have never done as well as I did. And I was like, is it a VR thing? Is it just because it's the beginning of the game? Yeah, I was like, wow, I actually won that race. I expected to get 6th. But I won a few races. This is really cool. The picture quality is really good. The comfort stuff is pretty smart. Some games, the comfort things are supposed to be invisible to you.
Comfort. What's that?
So in VR, there's lots of tricks to make people less prone to motion sickness. So for example, rigs, they did this thing where if you were turning really quickly, they would sort of close in the sides of your vision, so it would narrow your field of view. And then I guess you would see less motion coming from the sides. It's supposed to be invisible, but actually it was really obvious. Suddenly your point of view is really constricted. In Wipeout, what they do is that they just made it an in-fiction thing. So when you're on the starting line and nothing is moving, you can look around and like the cockpit window is just gigantic, and you can just look around at the scenery and stuff. But then as soon as the race starts, sort of the cockpit like closes in a bit. So instead of just having this blackness covering your peripheral vision, it's actually part of the ship. And so it feels like, oh, we have like engaged race mode or something, and it like closes in a little. So yeah, I was like, oh, that's pretty neat. Played through three races, I think. And I was like, yeah, this is really cool. It looks really good and seems to play really well. And I don't remember Wipeout ever being this easy, but yeah, I guess that's because it's the beginning of the game that I never played. So, yeah, that one's really cool. And then, continuing my adventures with GameFly, I finally got Need for Speed Payback, and it worked. So something was wrong with that first disc. And I kind of thought it would be like a linear game, because Payback, you remember when they showed it, I was like, oh, this is
Fast and Furious.
Yeah, this is Fast and Furious, where instead of doing like illegal street races, and that's like sort of this street race car culture, it is like Fast and Furious, which also has that, but it's mostly, these days anyway, it's mostly like this big set piece heist type property. But that is not what Payback is. At least in the beginning. In the beginning, it's very much like the other ones, where you do have to go, okay, now I need to go through this street race so that I can earn rep with these people, and then they'll help me get in contact with these people who I'm actually trying to do a heist or whatever on.
Oh dear.
And you play as multiple different characters, so in the recent Need for Speed, you were just, I think you were you, and then there was all these characters who were, like, some were into modding, and some were into, like, drifting, and some were into just, like, racing and stuff. And in this one, you play as one guy who was, like, the best driver, but then got betrayed or something, and was forced into servitude of, like, the bad guy, and then...
just like Fast and Furious.
Yeah, they're just like, oh, there's little plots for them. And then early on, it's like there's a time jump, and then it's like, oh, now we're getting the gang back together, and now we got to do street races so that we can earn our rep or something like that.
Just like Fast and Furious.
Just sort of all like, this... I thought it would be like The Run, where The Run was like a linear game, and you just sort of like drove across the country, and it was like levels like that. And then, but it was really more like Need for Speed was. I was like, oh, well, you know, I actually own that game, and I haven't finished it either, so... Payback, I'll come back to you someday, but I should go back and play Need for Speed. And then I went back to Need for Speed, except I couldn't remember that was the game that it was. So I was looking through my shelf, I was like, oh, Need for Speed Rivals.
So
it's this one, right? And I went and put it in, I was like, oh, this is a different Need for Speed game that I also own, that I also haven't played through.
They really should have, like, named them, like, better to make it easier for people.
Or I guess they stopped doing it, because now, like, Need for Speed is named the same as the first Need for Speed game. There's just no subtitle.
Yeah.
You just know it because it's on, like, a modern console and not on... I think it was... What was it? It was on the 3DO or something? The first one?
Yeah.
And Most Wanted, there are 2 Most Wanteds.
Yeah.
So that's pretty
one with
rough.
The top 10 most wanted or whatever. You have to go down the blacklist or whatever.
Yep. And it was something similar in the newer Most Wanted, but it was not called that.
What is your problem here?
sense.
Yay, anybody listening?
And then there's 2 Hot Pursuits, right? Yeah, that was when they were
Yeah.
trying to like recapture the Need for Speed stuff.
because there's the PS2 era Hot Pursuit where like one mode's a one-on-one, and then there's another linear story section or
Yep.
something.
Yeah, it's because I couldn't. I remembered incorrectly which one it was, so I started playing Rivals, and I was just like, I have no idea what is going on here. Rivals is just structurally so different from Need for Speed, where it's just like you have two different careers. You got the racer career and you got the cop career, but they don't really have. They have story modes, but they're not. There's no like cutscenes or stuff. It's not like a human interaction story mode. It seems like it's just like we are cops and we gotta stop the racers because it's dangerous and stuff. So we got, and then the racers is like cops are trying to stop our fun or whatever, and we're mad because of that. I was just like, I have no idea what's
Seems
going
legit.
on. I'll just play. Surprisingly to me, there was actually a lot of people playing it still. I was like, oh, that's really cool. I'm, constantly being rammed by other players that I guess are just here. So,
So wait, so you have to pick a side and it's just like online modes, or what is it?
it's like it gives you objectives. So I was on my racer career, and then I was like, you know what? I want to try the cop side. And I turned to the cop side, and it turned out like I had never played any cop missions. I was like, oh, okay. So I guess I'm starting from the beginning, except there's no context. It's just like, yes, we are cops. We're going to stop the racers.
Because of reasons.
And it's like, here are your objectives now. And it's like, get, however many rep points, go, run a racer off the road or whatever, and like play one of these pursuit missions or something. And then it just like sets you out into the open world, and you find one of the pursuit missions and you do that. But like recent Need for Speed games have all been like open worlds that have other players in them. So you're not even necessarily playing with these other players. They just happen to be around and are available to play with you if they want to and if you want them to. Although one time, like I was in the Hot Pursuit thing, and another player just like joined into my pursuit and like took out the last car for me. They're like, oh, that was cool.
I don't think cops operate like that, by the way. Just putting
I
that
didn't
out
ready you
there.
back up, but sure, you can run that guy off the road for me.
Don't think they operate like that.
Well, I sort of started remembering like why I thought the idea was cool. Like Rivals had, I think they were called Pursuit Tech. There was like power-ups you could get basically, and then you could shoot like EMP, for example, at racers and like immobilize them, or drop spikes behind you, or like I think there was a thing where you could call in a chopper and it would do something and help you get the racers. So it was like, oh, that's pretty neat. And then but it was very confusing, so I jumped and I had to look up online. It's like, okay, which one was the last Need for Speed game before Payback? I was like, oh, it was just called Need for Speed. I was like, oh yeah, I have that one digitally. So I looked for it, found it, started playing that one again. And yeah, it's kind of also kind of the same thing, except with a sort of more narrative. So I wasn't completely lost with what I was doing. But yeah, it's like another open world racing game, essentially. And I started thinking, all of these Need for Speed games are kind of the same. I also got Burnout Paradise recently too, because like Gap Nights again. And I was playing that. I was like, this is like the Need for Speed game I was playing, except there are no people talking to you about like, oh, that guy's sick ride and I want to build a car like that and all this. And it makes me miss that era when they were trying different things with Need for Speed. They had all these different studios making Need for Speed games, and
See, I think that's the problem with
You
Need for
didn't like
Speed
that
is
part?
my thing is like there's a time when like they got to Need for Speed I can't think of the name. It's my favorite one on PS2 with like the that one ladies.
Underground ones?
Yes, Underground and Underground 2. It's like you had different subtitles for each one, and then like they all had their own different thing. And so they just like keep going with them. They kept trying new things, and they just didn't, be like, okay, we're good. No, they just kept going and being like, and they like ended up in an Ouroboros of like, now we're back where we were. Like they have no idea what they're doing. It's just like, why do they do it? They just kept doing like, they had the one dude with like, or the one with like the dude with no name that wears a helmet all the time, where it's like you're a street racer dude, but you're like professionally racing. And then you had Unleashed, which was pretty good because it's like all track racing, and that was pretty good. Underground 2 was amazing. Like I loved Underground. Like that's why I liked the one that came back because it was very similar to Underground. Like when they had no subtitles, just Need for Speed. And then they had Hot Pursuit because they like brought that back. It was like, okay, let's try Hot Pursuit again on next gen, and you have cops and racers, like you said. And then they had effing Most Wanted, but it was completely different from the last Most Wanted. So it's like, okay, well, why is his name? Why is his name? What's going on? And just they're spinning their tires. Oh, pun intended. And it just, it just keeps going. And it's just like, whatever, man. Just ruin the franchise EA and kill it because that's what you do. So good job.
Around the time, I thought it was really neat that they made the Shift games, which were like almost simulation Need for Speed games.
I think that was Shift Unleashed. I said Unleashed, but it's like it is Shift and then Shift to Unleashed. Yeah, those ones. Those were.
And then that part was really neat because they were doing that, and then Hot Pursuit I think was made by Criterion, right? So they weren't making Burnout anymore, but they made Hot Pursuit, which was like very similar to Burnout Paradise, except with the cops and robbers type mechanics. And then or cops and racers, I suppose. And then there was the third one they were doing at the time. But they're like trying different stuff. And then right now they just have Ghost Games making, now that I've played them, it's like essentially the same game. It's like the Madden franchise now, where they have slightly different story stuff, but they're all kind of the same feeling. I really thought there would be more heist-type things in Payback. And maybe they are down the road, but initially it's very, very similar to Need for Speed. And I was like, oh, this is not what I expected. I did not expect to have to go.
Whenever they try to go for narrative and focus on story and make it cinematic and be all like, "Oh, we're gonna do Fast and Furious, but it's gonna be Need for Speed," it's like it always falls on the face because like that's just not your cup of tea, dudes. That's not your wheelhouse. Just cars racing, go fast.
Somebody could do it, but maybe not you guys.
Ouch.
It's like I'm thinking on top of my head, racing games with amazing story. I just remember Until the Day I Die. It's like, no, there's nothing there. It's like, I mean, like Underground 2, but they're not good stories. It's like I remember them because it's basically just your street racer dude making your way up things. But that's all they all are for. It's like they're one trick or one note instrument, and like you're just trying to like do all these things. And it's like, dude, it's like you can't make a Michael Bay movie be like an amazing story. It's like
surely there are other reasons why someone would drive a car really fast. Like
what?
Initial D. Initial D is a story about racing, basically, right? But it's not like Fast and Furious. It's not like, God, that's the only car movie story narrative that I can think of.
It's the East-West duality thing. Because there's like Tokyo Extreme Racer, like those games, but it's kind of like Pokemon, where it's like, you have different types of cars and gangs that you race against as you go up the ranks. But I would still say it's not, that genre just isn't going to ever catch up or eclipse on the, narrative story-driven games that are already out. Just saying.
Well, probably not to that level, but we never thought we would see a fighting game with an awesome story mode, and that's kind of happened.
Then they should call up NetherRealm Studios and be like, dudes, we've got
make
cars.
us a narrative car racing game.
Yes.
It's like, we're already working on it.
I think that's really cool. Oftentimes, it's really easy. Like, people very easily.
Wasn't that the run? Like, that was their thing of like, you're going from coast to coast, and you gotta save your brother or whatever, and then I didn't play it, but it wasn't that great. So
I thought, well, I mean, story-wise, it was basically like the Need for Speed movie, which was kind of basically like the Fast and Furious movies, the early ones before it got like super over the top. And
That's
so
saying
it's like,
something.
is that amazing? It's like no, but it's sort of like it was something. um, I don't know. I think people very easily dismiss like, oh, this thing can never happen, or everything that can be done in this genre has been done, and then someone does something totally different, and it's like, oh my gosh, it seems so obvious now that it exists. Why didn't anyone do this before?
Well, there
So
was
I
that
think there's something
Ridge
in
Racer Type
racing.
4. That was kind of neat what they did with that, because it was like, different
Ridge Racer.
manufacturers had different managers that you raced for, and they had like a branching storyline. That was like way back in the 90s, so
What was that one? It was like part of the Ridge Racer series, but not really.
Was that the one with like the ambulance driver lady? That one? Ridge Racer?
I can't remember what
Part
it
of
was
the
called.
Ridge Racer series, but not tropical? What?
Like it was definitely made by them, but it wasn't part of the Ridge Racer series, I don't think. It was like
Street Racing Syndicate?
I remember there was a story. I think the box was yellow. I can't remember what it was called.
I'll look it up with that series. It was like different take on that genre.
The car was yellow on the box, except for the GameCube version, which had a different car.
I was remembering the
Yeah, I don't know. I think
details.
they could do something for Need for Speed, but they haven't. Or maybe they did. I just haven't gotten that far in Payback. So yeah, Need for Speed sampler plate.
Or they could just bring Burnout back and we can just, end the discussion, because what that's up with that? Just so.
I mean, kind of. It's hard to say what they would try to do with Burnout and not make that one.
See, sometimes Tropical, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, dude. That's why Ubisoft's just like, you know what? We got this Assassin's Creed template down after like 5 games. It only took 5 games, or it took a lot of games, because after 3, everybody's like, "Well, they're Ubisoft," and then Syndicate was like, "No, they're great." And then they had pirates and ships, and they're like, people like the pirates and ships. Let's jot this down. Make sure we have that in everyone going forward, because if we never have like the ships and pirates, they're gonna get angry. And so they just took their time.
I
They're
was
like,
pretty angry.
Watch Dogs, okay, what worked here? Okay, Far Cry, what worked here? Okay, these are all open world games. Okay, we got our whole open world formula going on. We got basically, the same thing in every game, but, different name, whatever. Ghost Recon did the same thing. It's like, oh, it's, open world, Ghost Recon, just go in there, do stuff, kill stuff, whatever, open world, blah, blah. And then, it may have taken, like, upwards of 10 years or who knows how long. But, they got that formula down, and they're just pumping them out in every Ubisoft game now is the open world. It's like, oh, well, we may have took time, but we've got that formula down to a T. You know what you're getting when you play a Ubisoft game. You know what you're getting.
That might not necessarily be a good thing.
I don't think he was saying it's a good thing.
No, I'm just saying,
No.
I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm just saying, you know what you're getting. It's like, open world, go to this tower, climb the tower, unlock the map, kill some more stuff, progress the story, climb another tower, do the same things, maybe some stealth sequences along the way, some convoy sequences along the way, some hostages, rescue the VIP along the way, all those variants. There was a video of Jimquisition this week I watched that was basically that, and then that's what I'm trying to get at, is like, Ubisoftication of all their games, but it worked for them, so I don't know why it wouldn't work for anybody else.
Ubisoftification their games.
But I don't mind it, because it's like, I like knowing what I'm getting into when I'm playing something. As long as I'm getting some fun and enjoyment, because not every game can be a masterpiece on the level of Heavy Rain or Mass Effect or Red Dead Redemption. So, gotta get what you can take sometimes.
That's my movie pass strategy. Anyway, that's what I've been playing.
Seems legit. Let's see here. So I've been playing, well, not much actually. I think this might be the first time I've played Monster Hunter World in like the week. But I've been playing through what's it called? Alliance Alive. So I've been able to get a little bit further in there. The chapters are fairly short, so it's like you feel like you're progressing a lot, which is good, because then I can pretend like I'm actually making progress even if I'm not, and be like, yep, I'm doing all the business and stuff. I'm doing all the business. Early on in the game, it switches over to a different set of characters, and then you kind of see, because like when you get the first set of protagonists in the game, like they get to a dungeon where like all of a sudden after they finish it, like this giant ship comes out of a portal and almost runs them over. So then it switches over to another set of characters who turn out to be the characters that were inside said ship, and it's a kind of a how we got here type of scenario. So you follow their adventures until they end up on the ship and accidentally activate it and almost run over said characters. And then it switches to another set of characters who the first set of characters met when they were doing their adventures, and then it kind of shows of a how we got here thing too. And then you switch back to the first two set of characters, and now you have a full party now. So that sounds confusing. Good. Welcome to RPGs.
Yay! We're a part of something.
So now that I have a full party and everything, it turns out you can have like 5 people in a party at once, and then they can all be set up on the grid accordingly. So you have, like I mentioned last week, like you can set up your party in like these formations, which kind of give them different boosts and things. So like they'll like some formation makes the boost all their attack power, or some of them gives like somebody like a guard position and it like increases their threat level, so the enemies mostly focus on them. But then it also has ones where it's like gives boost to certain positions that have like support and speed kind of thing. So you can kind of like move people around to figure out where you like them best. It's also important for stuff like that because in the game, like it doesn't follow the traditional leveling system of other RPGs, and it's kind of similar to The Legend of Legacy, which is made by the same developers. So it's you kind of like your characters progress like in battles. Like the only thing they'll get they can increase like their health and their SP from fighting battles, and then like you get other bonuses by like using different attacks and stuff. So characters learn attacks in the middle of battles through awakening, and then you can also increase like the different levels of the same attacks by using them in certain positions. So like for instance, using a double tap while you're in the attack position, like raises its attack power when you're in attack position. But if you change to a different one, like the support one, it'll change something else, like if it like gives like a status effect or something to an enemy kind of thing. So you also have to be mindful of what type of positioning you put the characters in when you give them like these different roles and everything, and then you can kind of customize them to your own need based on the talent system, because at the end of the battles you get talent points, you don't get like experience points, and you can buy different skills and everything to like increase the chances of them like awakening a new skill, or like reducing the amount of SP something costs, and etc. So, and then you can do this for the different weapon types per character, so you can kind of like customize your battle party to your needs. But so yeah, I've been enjoying it so far, and like I said, since the chapter seems so short, it makes you feel like you're like progressing quickly. Although for all I know, it has like 600 chapters or something. So I mean, that could backfire gloriously later on when it's just like, oh, this game isn't ending anytime soon. So there's also that. There's also that drawback.
shows the cold steel and how it took 70 plus hours, and you're like, man, this game
It
is
was
long.
90, and yes, it did take forever because I was like, well, this is never ending until it finally said final act, and I was like, oh my gosh, I got to the end of the game. So I was like, yeah, that one was rough because holy crap, like it seemed like there was so much going on. There's so much going on. Like these students in this school should not be doing what they were doing. It's like, oh my gosh, what is going on with your career? So it was just, yeah, that one was a rough one. So, I was also playing that. I was playing Cold Steel 2 anyway. So I'm still playing that one, but if it's as long as the other one, I'm only 30 something hours in, so I still got another like 60 hours to go, which yay, I guess. So that'll probably be a thing. I mean, which is fine because they never announced 3 for the West yet, so there's still time, I guess. But so we'll see how that goes. But have been enjoying my portable RPGs so far, as opposed to the usual console funness that I've been doing recently. So I haven't really played Monster Hunter, and then I think more games are going to start coming out soon. So Monster Hunter might take a back seat to all the other stuff I end up playing. Because, I mean, there's God of War towards the end of this month, and then also that game we talked about on RRR last week that I forgot the name of, but it's like Dark Souls mixed with Nier. That one, whatever that one was called. I should have probably saved that so I can remember what it was.
It started with an S.
Fantastic. That narrows down other 25 alphabets of names. So, good start. So, yes, that. But yeah, that's pretty much all I've been playing. Nothing too exciting, but yes, handheld RPGs, guys. It's the way to go. Because they always release them for them. Not necessarily the consoles, though. I'm sad.
Alright, so I guess it's time for the middle segment of I Don't Trust Experts. Experts now.
Well, no, that I would not say that. That's actually pretty.
True.
It's kind of why we're here in the darkest timeline.
He's right. I live.
Like, I would go out. I was like, okay, which one? Like, what car should I buy? And I would go out and find people who know a lot about cars, like, use their knowledge to help me make the decision. But games, it feels like nobody wants to do that. In fact, there's sort of this great disdain for other people's knowledge.
Maybe people just don't want to, they don't like the fact that somebody knows more about something than they do.
Well, so that's the question. Like, do you think, am I crazy in thinking
Yes.
that that's how it feels? Like, it feels like people are okay listening to experts in other subjects, but when it's games, it's like, you're not an expert, or just, they just don't want to listen to other people.
It may not just be games, though. I mean, they're probably like other subjects where people are just like, nope, I reject your expertise because I'm an expert on all things expert, so you cannot be more of an expert than me type of scenario. Because that's how I feel about a lot of things. People are not allowed to know more about them than I do.
What do you... Okay, so, like, does this expert person have qualifications, or they're just like, oh man, I'm an expert, I've been doing this for a long time. I know things.
I think that's part of the reason why people don't trust experts in games, because they feel like there are no experts. Like, what makes you an expert in games?
I mean, what would make you an expert in anything outside of, like, a degree saying that you studied a butt ton, and then even then, it's like, who certifies experts? Do experts certify other experts? Because then who certify them? So it's then a chicken and some level of, like, facts and stuff to back things, but with, like,
Then on the other hand, we're not the average gamer because
Not unsure. Let me just go ahead and take it offline because it's being stupid.
oh no, it's being